Hi everybody, welcome to the third part of factorising at National 5 level, and this part is going to be trinomials. Now, previously in the last two videos we had our trinomials in this kind of form where we had a sneaky wee 1 in front of the x squared, where b and x are just real numbers. So we saw examples where we had x squared plus 4x plus 2 and the likes. This time we're going to be looking about what happens if this number here in front of the x squared is bigger than 1. So example right here, 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. How do we do that? Well, there's a little bit of a different method. I say a little bit different, there's actually just an extra step that I like to do. So the step that I like to do is I like to take this 2 here, this number at the front, to the end and multiply it to create a different trinomial. So when we take this 2 and multiply it by the 3, our next line will be x squared plus 5x plus 6. Now this is a lot easier to factorise than something like this, so we're going to factorise this out and then do that extra step there. So we need to find the products that give 6 and the sums that give 5. So we have, to make positive 6, we've got 1 and 6. We have their opposites, negative 1 and negative 6. We have 2 and 3. And we also have their opposites, negative 2 and negative 3. Now we have to check about adding up to make 5. So 1 add 6, that gives 7. Negative 1 add negative 6, that gives negative 7, so we don't want that. 2 add 3, well that does give it, but just for good practice we'll check the last one. So negative 2 add negative 3 gives us negative 5. We don't want that, so these are the two that we're going to be using. So when we factorise out this trinomial, not this, we're going to get x and x at the start and plus 2 and plus 3. Now if we multiplied this out, we wouldn't get the same value as we want to start with. So just to show you as proof of that, x times x gives you x squared, x times 3 gives you plus 3x, 2 times x gives you plus 2x, and 2 times 3 gives you plus 6, and altogether that gives x squared plus 5x plus 6. We don't want that, we want to get to this. So what to do is, that 2, or whatever number it is that we multiplied onto the end, we're going to bring that back into play here. So if we've got x plus 2 and we put that over the 2, and we've got x plus 3 over the 2, that's us bringing this 2 back into play by making it the denominator of our constant numbers here. And then we simplify down what we can. So this 2 over 2, that simplifies down to x plus 1. And this 3 over 2, well, that can't simplify down to a whole number. So we're going to give that 2 to the x here to make 2x plus 3. And that is our fully factorised form of this. And just to show you, I'm going to factorise that out. So we've got x times 2x gives us 2x squared. We have x times 3, which gives us plus 3x. We have 1 times 2x to give us 2x, and 1 times by 3 to give us plus 3. Tidying this up, we get 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. And that's what we started off with, so we know we've done it right. Now, that's just a simple one where we've got a 2. But what if we make it a wee bit more challenging and we bring into play some negatives? So let's just say we have, for example, 8x squared minus 14x plus 5. Okay, so we follow the same process. We're taking this 8 and multiplying it onto the end, like that. So we create this new trinomial, x squared minus 14x plus 40. And we follow our same steps as before. We want to find the multiple, or sorry, the product that gives 40, and we want to find the sum that gives negative 14. So just starting off at the basics, so we've got 1 and 40, we have their opposites, negative 1 and negative 40. We have 2 and 20, and negative 2 and negative 20. No threes, we've got 4 and 10, we've got negative 4 and negative 10. We've got 5 and 8, and also negative 5 and negative 8, and that's them. So if you're ever having trouble trying to find the factors of what is on the end, start from the beginning, start from 1 and work your way up. Once your two numbers starts to cross paths, that means you've got them all. So now we have to find the sum of negative 14. So 1 add 40 doesn't give it. Negative 1 add negative 40 definitely does not give it. 2 add 20, nope. Negative 2 add negative 20 is negative 22, so that's no there as well. 4 add 10, that gives 14, it's close, but we want negative 14, so it's not that. Negative 4 add negative 10, there's our winner right there. 5 add 8, that gives us 13, so we don't want that. And negative 5 add negative 8 gives negative 13, so we don't want that one either. So these are the two we're going to be using. So this trinomial becomes x minus 4 and x minus 10. There we go. So now we've still got the issue of bringing this 8 back into play. So we're going to have x minus 4 over 8 and x minus 10 over 8. And then we'll simplify down what we can. So if we simplify 4 over 8, that's just a half. So we're going to get x minus a half. And we have x minus 8 over 10, sorry, 10 over 8 gives us 5 over 4. But none of these have become whole numbers. All right, still okay. So we take the denominator and we give it to our variable at the start. So this 2 is going to go with the x. So 2x minus 1 because our numerator's left over and that's a 1. And we've got 4x, sorry, minus 5. And that 5 comes from the numerator at the top. And that's it. So just to make sure, I'm going to multiply it out. So 2 times 4x, 2 times 4 gives us 8. X times x gives us x squared. 2 times by negative 5 gives us negative 10x. 1 times by 4x, sorry, negative 1 times by 4x gives us negative 4x. And negative 1 times negative 5 gives us plus 5. If we tidy this up, no other x squareds. Negative 10x take away 4x gives us negative 14x, and plus 5 in the end. That's the same as what we started, so we must have done it right. So the key here, the thing to remember is, take the number that's at the front, this a, and bring it to the end and multiply it to get this new trinomial. Once you've followed the same procedure as before to factorize it, bring that number back into play and put it under your variable, your whole numbers at the end to make fractions. Simplify them down. Whichever one doesn't simplify down, you stick the denominator next to that. And sometimes you might come across one where you've got two fractions, so just stick the denominators over the front and you'll be on the right track.